The Resurrection Project was founded in 1990. We have always been a social impact organization. Putting our faith and values into practice has been our missions from the beginning. One of our first initiatives was building homes because family wanted to stay in the community, but they didn't have, in some cases, housing opportunities. So we decided to work on building new homes for the community. We took many vacant lots in the neighborhood and invested on putting on a new home there. We wanted to have a lottery celebration to make sure that everybody had the same opportunity for getting a home. The best person we could identify that could be trusted in the community and no questions asked, because he was an ally and a friend of this organization from its get-go, was then Cardinal Bernardine. So he came to the neighborhood and celebrated with us a lottery celebration that selected the names of the families who eventually became homeowners. Here we are 30 plus years later. The support of the Campaign for Human Development has been a blessing to us. Because of their support, we've been able to leverage multiple other initiatives, other foundations, other resources. The support that we've received from CCHD has a direct, profound impact on the individual. We know where this hard dollars come from because it comes from the pews, it comes from the people who contribute. Jesus, was teaching people how to fish, not fish for them. And that's what the CCHD support allows us to do, is challenging people to act on their faith and values, challenging people to be reciprocal, because we were teaching them how to fish, not just providing them with a service.
It's homes we're talking about, and a safe place for people to grow up in and nurture their kids in. Voice of the People is a neighborhood housing development corporation. It's part of a national movement that grew up in the 70s as various neighborhood organizations, out of their organizing work, began to take on direct hardware development of buildings. The mission is to engage tenants in affordable housing for the long term. Voice of the People was basically a part-time, single-person run organization when I entered as an intern. So we applied for a grant because it seemed to fit the criteria, and we're quite frankly shocked and surprised that we got it. It was our first really major grant. When you got the bishops behind you, some people stand up and pay a little more attention. Certainly that initial seed grant allowed us to begin building capacity so that we could do a lot more than 6 units. Indeed, within a few years, we were putting together Section 8 projects and on our way to having upwards of 60 units of housing in a relatively short period of time. I think that one of the critical aspects of the Campaign for Human Development, which sets it apart from other philanthropy, is the importance of engagement by the people who are being affected by the work. And a basic tenet of Voice of the People is that housing is a right, not a privilege. I think that people don't get that when they see other as opposed to us. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have on many different fronts in our society right now. I think the basic tenet of the Campaign for Human Development is trying to break through that with its basic commitment to the poor.
My name is Sister Patricia Crowley. I'm a native Chicagoan. I'm a Benedictine, a member of the Benedictine Sisters of Chicago. I've worked in homelessness a good part of my life, Howard Area Community Center, Deborah's Place, the Continuum of Care, and now I work in immigration at Bethany House of Hospitality. I think the gospel calls us to relate to people on the margins of society and to establish relationships with those people. The Catholic Campaign for Human Development, I've always been proud that our church has decided to really help people speak for themselves and help people address their own issues societally by speaking out. I have seen the effectiveness of this kind of funding and this kind of organizing that the funding supports insofar as issues that are important like health care, for everybody, housing, good housing, trying to address conditions of homelessness. I think that's what CCHD allows people to do, for governments to listen, for people to listen to each other, to feel empowered by that listening.